Welcome to another peaceful and powerful sleep story, filled with the power of gratitude in the form of a peaceful, healing journey down the river. Tonight, we'll join Mara on a day-long adventure along a gentle river. This story is about courage, self-discovery, and the quiet strength that lies within. Let the soothing sounds of the river, the rustle of trees, and the light of the moon guide you into a calm and reflective state, preparing you for a restful sleep later tonight. In the soft light of early morning, Mara stood at the river's edge, the world still wrapped in quiet. Life had been heavy on her shoulders, filled with endless responsibilities and heartaches. Today was her day of healing, her journey towards peace. Each stroke of the paddle was a step into a new beginning, a promise to herself to let go of the past and embrace the present. The river stretched ahead, winding through lush forests and open meadows. The world around Mara was serene, the only sounds being the soft swish of the paddle and the gentle murmur of the water. As she drifted, Mara felt the beauty of her surroundings seep into her soul. The towering trees, the singing birds, and the shimmering water all seemed to be part of a symphony of peace. She felt a growing connection to nature, a quiet companionship in the solitude of the river. Mara pulled out her journal and began to write. She poured her thoughts onto the pages, her fears, her hopes, and the gratitude she felt for this moment of calm. Each word felt like a release, a step towards healing. As the day progressed, memories and fears she had long buried began to surface. She recalled moments of regret and sadness. Instead of pushing them away, she allowed herself to feel. The river seemed to listen, its gentle flow, a reminder that it was okay to let emotions wash over her. Mara let her tears fall, her voice soft as she spoke her fears to the river. The water, ever steady, seemed to carry her pain away. In her journal, she wrote about the strength in facing her fears, in allowing her emotions to flow freely like the river's currents. As the sun climbed higher, Mara paused at a quiet stretch of the river. The water was still, reflecting the sky above. She felt a deep peace in this moment of stillness, as if the river and sky were embracing her. Nature became her teacher. The river, flowing steadily beside her, seemed to whisper lessons in patience and resilience. With every twist and turn, through calm stretches and sudden rapids, it showed her the quiet beauty in embracing each moment as it came. Slowly, she began to trust the journey, discovering a quiet strength in going with life's flow. By late afternoon, Mara felt a swelling gratitude for the journey. She paused to reflect on the day, the warmth of the sun, the rustling leaves, and the river's gentle song. She wrote these moments in her journal, each entry a reminder of the beauty in life's simple pleasures. Her heart swelled with gratitude, a warm feeling that slowly dissolved the last traces of fear and sorrow she had carried for so long. She realized that happiness wasn't some grand achievement or distant goal. It was here, woven into the quiet moments she once overlooked. It was in the soft rustle of leaves, the comforting hum of the river as it moved steadily along, and the gentle way the sunlight filtered through the trees. The small creatures around her, the frogs, fishes, and crickets, seemed to speak to her, filling her with a peace she hadn't felt in years. In these simple experiences, she found a new appreciation for life's subtle beauty, understanding that true joy was rooted in being fully present, in embracing the flow of each moment just as it came. As the day drew to a close, Mara felt a newfound strength within. She had faced her fears, embraced her emotions, and found peace in the gentle flow of the river. The journey had been one of healing, a reminder that true strength lies in being open to change and growth. She paddled slowly, savoring the quiet beauty around her. The river, the trees, and the sky were now a part of her, connected to her in a profound way. She realized that the peace she sought had always been within her, waiting for her to embrace it. As the sun set, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, she felt a bittersweet sense, knowing that while this day was ending, her journey of healing would continue. With a light heart, she whispered a silent thank you to the river. She knew that the lessons learned today, the strength, the peace, the gratitude, would stay with her, guiding her in the days to come. Now, as the stars begin to twinkle in the vast, quiet sky above, allow yourself to sink deeper into a peaceful, restorative sleep. Picture yourself beside the gentle river, nestled under the soft silver glow of starlight. The air is calm, carrying the faint, soothing scent of fresh earth and river mist, as if nature itself is inviting you to let go and rest. The gentle sounds of water, flowing rhythmically over smooth stones, become a lullaby, quieting your mind and easing away the day's lingering thoughts. Like Mara, know that you too are on a journey uniquely your own, flowing with the rhythm of life. Each day brings new experiences, small moments of growth, and quiet revelations. Embrace the feeling of the river's endless flow, a reminder that life moves forward in its own gentle, unwavering way. Feel the weight of the day slip away, dissolving like mist in the moonlight, leaving you calm, centered, and at peace. Let this river of dreams carry you effortlessly into a deep, healing sleep. As you drift, trust that tomorrow will bring you fresh energy, a renewed spirit, and another step forward on your path of self-discovery, joy, and inner peace. Rest well, surrounded by the beauty of the night, and let your journey continue with a heart open to all the wonders yet to come. The healing journey. How Layla found herself, one step at a time. Imagine walking for days together, alone through vast wilderness. The wind whispers through the trees, the ground crunches beneath your feet, and the only sounds are your breath and the soft hum of the earth. You carry everything you own in a heavy backpack, but the real weight you bear is on your heart. This journey is not just across land, it's a journey inward, toward peace, healing, and the rediscovery of your strength. Let me take you on a calming and reflective journey, inspired by the raw beauty and emotion of one woman's path to inner peace. As you listen, allow the rhythm of the story to guide you toward a restful, peaceful sleep. Chapter 1. The Background. It was a quiet afternoon when Layla found herself standing at a crossroads, not just in the literal sense, but in the heart of her life. Her hands shook slightly as she clutched the crumpled map, the one she had obsessively traced over and over in the weeks leading up to this moment. Behind her lay a world of chaos, a life that had fallen apart piece by piece. A failed relationship, the loss of a loved one, and the slow, suffocating weight of grief that followed her everywhere. The sense of control she once had over her life had slipped away, leaving her feeling lost, fragmented, and uncertain about who she was anymore. Layla had always been the strong one, the one who held everyone together. But now she was the one falling apart, and there was no one left to catch her. In a desperate search for clarity, she made a choice that felt both reckless and necessary. To walk away from the life she knew and set off on a journey into the wilderness. With nothing but a backpack and a desire to escape, she stepped onto a path that would take her deep into the heart of nature, and deeper still into herself. Chapter 2. The beginning of the journey. The trail ahead stretched for miles, winding through forests, along rugged mountain edges, and across wildflower-filled meadows. Layla felt an overwhelming sense of freedom as she took her first steps into the unknown. The city, her memories, and all the burdens of her old life seemed to fade with each footfall. Yet, even as the natural beauty surrounded her, Layla could feel the weight of her past hanging on her like the overstuffed backpack she carried. The first few days were tough. The physical exhaustion hit her hard. Blisters formed on her feet, her legs ached from the uphill climbs, and the chill of the night air seeped into her bones. She was unprepared in many ways, both for the physical demands of the journey and the emotional ones. She found herself thinking, why did I think I could do this? But there was a quiet voice inside her that kept pushing her forward, whispering, "Just one more step, Layla, just one more step." Each night, as Layla pitched her small tent under the stars, she felt a sense of vulnerability that was both terrifying and liberating. Alone in the vast wilderness, she had no choice but to confront the silence, the stillness, and her own thoughts. As she lay down to sleep, the sounds of nature, the rustling of leaves, the distant hoot of an owl, and the gentle breeze became her lullaby. Slowly, night after night, she started to sleep more peacefully, the tight knot of tension in her chest beginning to loosen just a little. Chapter 3: Facing the Fears. As the days stretched into weeks, the wilderness began to work its quiet magic on Layla. The rhythm of hiking, step after step, hour after hour, became meditative. She began to notice the smallest details, the way the sunlight filtered through the trees, casting a golden glow on the forest floor. The delicate dance of butterflies among the wildflowers, the quiet rustling of animals hidden in the brush. But with the peace of nature also came the inner storms. The trail had a way of bringing out the thoughts and emotions she had long buried. Memories of her mother's passing, the heartbreak of her failed relationship, and the deep guilt she carried for the mistakes she had made all rose to the surface like waves crashing against the shore. There were moments when the weight of her grief was too much to bear, and she would stop mid-hike, tears streaming down her face as she leaned against a tree or sat on a rock overwhelmed. But the wilderness did not judge her for her tears. The earth beneath her feet, the sky above, and the wind on her face seemed to offer a quiet, steady presence. Feel it all, they seemed to whisper, let it come and go like the changing seasons. Chapter 4: The Kindness of Strangers. Though Layla's journey was one of solitude, she was not entirely alone. Along the trail, she met other hikers, fellow souls who, like her, had come to the wilderness seeking something. Some were seasoned hikers, with tales of long treks and mountain summits, while others were like Layla, walking through their own battles with grief, loss, or change, There was the elderly woman who shared her tea and listened without judgment as Layla poured out her heart. There was the young couple who offered her extra supplies when they saw her struggling. And there were the moments of quiet camaraderie around campfires where words weren't always needed. And there were the moments of quiet camaraderie around campfires where words weren't always needed. Each encounter reminded Layla that while she had chosen a solitary path, she wasn't truly alone. The world was full of people navigating their own journeys, and sometimes just a brief moment of connection was enough to remind her of her own strength. Chapter 5: Nature Teaches Layla. As the days turned into weeks, something began to shift inside Layla. The wilderness had become her teacher, offering lessons in patience, resilience, and acceptance. The towering trees, the rushing rivers, and the vast mountain landscapes taught her that everything in life, like nature, moves in cycles. There are moments of growth and moments of dormancy. Chapter 6: The Cycles of Healing. As Layla continued her journey through the wilderness, she realized that the trail wasn't just a path through the forest. It was a mirror to her own life. Just as the seasons changed, so did she. There were days where the sun warmed her skin. The breeze felt light, and she walked with a sense of purpose and energy. But there were also days where the rain poured down, soaking her to the bone, and the trail seemed endless, testing her endurance both physically and emotionally. But just as nature moved through its seasons, Layla learned that her healing was not linear. Some days, her heart felt lighter, and the pain of her past seemed to fade like mist in the morning sun. On other days, the grief would return, heavy and dark, like a storm rolling in. And yet, with each emotional wave, she discovered something new. Every difficult moment was followed by a sense of calm. And with each cycle of sorrow and relief, she grew stronger. The trail, with all its highs and lows, became a metaphor for her own healing journey. It taught her that pain, like nature, comes and goes, and that even in the darkest moments, there is always the promise of light. She learned to trust the process, to let go of the need for control, and to accept that life, like the wilderness, is unpredictable and full of both beauty and challenge. Chapter 7. Layla finds her inner strength. One afternoon, as Layla stood at the edge of a cliff overlooking a vast valley below, she felt a profound sense of stillness. The wind whipped through her hair, the sun warmed her skin, and for the first time in what felt like years, she felt truly present. The weight of her past had not disappeared, but it no longer defined her. She was no longer just the woman who had lost her family, the woman who had gone through a painful breakup, or the woman who had made mistakes. Standing on that cliff, she realized that she had become someone new, someone stronger, someone more resilient. Someone who had faced her pain and had come out the other side, transformed. The trek had not only healed her wounds, it had also given her a new kind of strength, one that came not from avoiding her struggles, but from facing them head on. Layla understood now that the strength she had always sought wasn't about being invulnerable. It was about being willing to feel everything, to embrace the full spectrum of her emotions, from joy to sorrow, from fear to hope, and to keep moving forward, step by step. Chapter 8. Layla finds inner peace. After months on the trail, Layla reached the final stretch of her journey. The landscape had changed. What had once been towering mountains and dense forests had given way to open meadows and gentle hills. The physical demands of the trail had lessened, but her heart still felt full with the lessons she had learned along the way. One evening, as the sun set behind the mountains and painted the sky in shades of pink and gold, Layla sat by a small campfire, her heart full of gratitude. She had come to the wilderness seeking peace, and she had found it. Not in the absence of pain, but in her ability to sit with her pain and still find moments of joy and beauty. The stars above began to twinkle, and Layla smiled as she lay down on the soft earth. She no longer felt lost. The wilderness had given her back to herself. She had rediscovered her inner strength, her resilience, and her capacity for love and joy. And in the quiet of the night, with the sounds of nature surrounding her, Layla finally felt at peace. Chapter 9. The Journey Continues. As Layla packed up her tent the next morning and began the final steps of her journey, she knew that her time in the wilderness was coming to an end. But the lessons she had learned, the strength she had discovered, and the peace she had found would stay with her long after she left the trail. Her journey was far from over. Life, she realized, would continue to bring its own challenges, its own moments of joy and sorrow. She had learned to trust herself, to trust the process of life, and to know that no matter what happened, she had the strength to face it. As Layla walked the final miles, she felt lighter than she had in years. The backpack on her shoulders no longer felt like a burden, but a symbol of everything she had carried and overcome. She had walked 1,000 miles, both across the wilderness and within herself, and she had come out the other side stronger, wiser, and more at peace. The trail had taught her that healing is not a destination, but a journey. And as she stepped off the trail and back into the world, she knew that she would carry the wilderness with her wherever she went. Chapter 10. Quiet Night's Rest. And now, as the story of Layla's journey comes to a close, let yourself drift into a peaceful sleep. Imagine the soft glow of a campfire, the gentle rustling of leaves in the wind, and the quiet, steady rhythm of the earth beneath you. Like Layla, you are on your own journey, one that moves at its own pace, with its own cycles of joy and challenge. But know this, just as the wilderness offered Layla peace and healing, so too can the stillness of the night offer you rest. As you breathe deeply, feel the weight of your day slipping away, like the heavy backpack Layla carried. Let go of your worries, your stress, and your fears, and allow yourself to simply be here in this moment, calm and at peace. Your journey, like Layla's, is one of strength, resilience, and discovery. And as you close your eyes and drift off to sleep, remember that you are exactly where you need to be. The Garden of Healing. Once upon a time, in a magical forest, bathed in gentle sunlight and surrounded by towering trees, lived a young fairy named Lyra. After a tough year, full of challenges that took a toll on her, Lyra decided to create a special garden. This garden was different from any other, for it was to be a place of healing, a sanctuary of peace, comfort, and renewal for all who visited. After facing her own struggles and witnessing the challenges her loved ones endured, Lyra wanted to give something back to the world. Her heart knew that gratitude was the key to true healing, and she poured all her love into creating a place where others could rediscover peace and strength. Lyra spent countless days and nights gathering seeds from far and wide, each one holding the promise of a different kind of healing. Lavender for peace, roses for love, and daisies for joy. Each flower would bloom with a unique energy, filling the garden with soothing power. With every seed she planted, Lyra whispered words of thanks and kindness, infusing the garden with the gentle spirit of gratitude. The first days of Lyra's project were filled with planting and careful preparation. As she placed each tiny seed into the soil, she took a moment to whisper a quiet thank you, expressing gratitude for the beauty and strength she knew each flower would bring. "Thank you for the peace you'll share," she murmured over the lavender seeds. "Thank you for the love you'll inspire," she whispered to the roses. Lyra felt a calm sense of purpose as she worked, her heart filled with hope for the garden's future. Each seed was like a small promise, and she knew that with patience, these seeds would grow into something truly magical. She imagined a place where anyone could come to find healing, peace, and a renewed sense of gratitude for life's simple blessings. The first plant to bloom in Lyra's garden was the lavender. Its delicate purple flowers swaying gently in the breeze. The moment the flowers opened, a soothing energy filled the air, wrapping the garden in a blanket of calm. Lyra closed her eyes, breathing deeply as the fragrance surrounded her. The lavender seemed to speak to her heart, whispering a reminder that peace was always within reach. One by one, creatures from the forest began to visit the garden, drawn by the calming scent of the lavender. Squirrels, birds, and even a shy fox approached the plants, finding comfort in the tranquil atmosphere. Each visitor left feeling a little lighter, a little more at peace. Lyra watched with a grateful heart, knowing that the lavender had given them a precious gift, a moment of true rest. As the days passed, the roses in Lyra's garden began to bloom, in shades of red, pink, and white, filling the air with a gentle, sweet fragrance. Lyra had always loved roses for their beauty, but now she understood their deeper magic, the way they opened hearts and inspired kindness. She felt a wave of warmth and gratitude for the love the roses brought to her garden. When the forest creatures saw the roses, they were filled with a sense of calm and comfort. An elderly deer came to the garden, her heart weary from the passing seasons. She rested among the roses, breathing in their fragrance, and felt her spirit lifted. She left the garden, feeling grateful for the beauty of life, carrying a newfound sense of love in her heart. The daisies bloomed next, their simple white petals and golden centers, bringing a cheerful light to the garden. Lyra smiled as she watched them sway in the breeze, each one a reminder of the joy that could be found in life's simplest moments. The daisies seemed to sing of laughter and happiness, their gentle energy filling the garden with a sense of playful delight. As the sun rose higher in the sky, forest creatures gathered around the daisies, feeling their spirits lifted. A family of rabbits hopped from flower to flower, their hearts filled with gratitude for the lightness the daisies brought. Lyra watched them, her own heart filling with joy. She whispered a thank you to the daisies, grateful for the way they had brightened the garden. In the heart of the garden, the sunflowers began to grow, their tall, golden faces turned toward the sun. Lyra had planted the sunflowers with a special intention, hoping they would bring strength to those who needed it most. Their sturdy stems and vibrant blooms seemed to radiate resilience, standing tall no matter what winds or storms came their way. A young fox, weary from a long journey, found her way to the garden and rested among the sunflowers. She had faced many hardships, but as she looked up at the towering flowers, she felt a surge of strength within her. The sunflowers reminded her to keep moving forward, to stay grounded and strong. "Thank you for your strength," Lyra whispered to the sunflowers, her heart swelling with gratitude. In the garden's quiet corners, ivy began to climb along the stones, reaching higher with each passing day. Lyra marveled at its persistence, grateful for the way it continued to grow, no matter what obstacles lay in its path. The ivy taught her that life's challenges were not barriers, but stepping stones that helped her grow. A young bird with a broken wing sought shelter in the ivy's embrace, feeling its gentle support. As the days passed, the bird's wing began to heal, and she found strength to fly once more. Lyra softly thanked the ivy, feeling a deep sense of gratitude for the ivy's quiet strength. A gentle stream flowed through the edge of Lyra's garden, its waters clear and cool as they danced over smooth stones. The stream had always been a source of peace for Lyra, reminding her to let go of what she could not change. She often sat by the water, feeling its rhythm wash away her worries. One by one, creatures approached the stream, gently dipping their paws and wings into its cool, flowing water. A timid young fawn, hesitant at first, soon felt a calm settle over him as the stream's gentle embrace eased his worries. "Thank you for teaching us to let go," Lyra murmured, her heart swelling with gratitude for the stream's soothing, healing presence. In the shaded parts of the garden, ferns unfurled their delicate fronds, thriving in the soft shadows. They were humble and unassuming, but Lyra knew their strength was unmatched. She was grateful for their presence, for they reminded her that true strength was often quiet and steady. A small, timid hedgehog curled up among the ferns, feeling safe and comforted by their gentle presence. In their quiet strength, he found a sense of courage he hadn't known before. "Thank you for teaching us that strength doesn't have to be loud," Lyra whispered softly. Feeling a calm strength grow inside her as she watched the ferns stand steady and peaceful. As the sun dipped below the horizon and night settled gently over the garden, the jasmine began to bloom, its delicate white flowers unfolded one by one, releasing a soft, sweet fragrance that drifted through the cool night air. This was Lyra's favorite time with the jasmine. It only blossomed in the quiet hours when the world had stilled. As the night deepened, bats and owls glided softly into the garden, drawn by the jasmine's soothing presence. They nestled among the blossoms, finding a gentle comfort in the flower's embrace. Lyra settled herself among the blooms, closing her eyes as the stillness of the night wrapped around her, quieting her thoughts. She took a slow, deep breath, allowing the jasmine's scent to fill her senses, feeling a calmness take root deep within her heart. With each passing day, Lyra's garden grew, filling the forest with a gentle, healing energy. One by one, creatures came to the garden, each leaving with a heart a little lighter, a spirit a little stronger. Lyra realized that her garden was more than just a collection of plants. It was a place of gratitude, a sanctuary of healing for all who needed it. As she looked over the blooms, she felt her own heart swell with gratitude. The garden had given her so much more than she had expected, renewing her spirit and teaching her the true power of gratitude. She whispered a final thank you to each plant, each flower, and each creature that had visited, knowing that her garden would continue to heal and inspire for generations to come. This garden became more than just a place of beauty. It was a quiet refuge, a symbol of hope and healing for all who entered. Each flower carried the warmth of Lyra's love. Each petal held her gentle whispers of gratitude. Here, amidst soft flowers and soothing scents, creatures and travelers alike found rest. Their spirits lifted by the garden's comforting embrace. Lyra's garden was a reminder that peace could be found even in life's simplest, most delicate moments. And now, as you close your eyes tonight, let the spirit of Lyra's garden wrap around you like a soft, warm blanket, filling your heart with peace, gratitude, and quiet strength. Breathe deeply, letting go of the day, and feel her garden's calmness settle within you. Just as each flower grew strong and beautiful under her tender care, may you too find healing in life's small, gentle moments. Know that within you lies the same quiet power, the same resilience, ready to bloom when you need it most. Let go, breathe in, and drift into a peaceful, renewing sleep. Good night, dear one. Sweet dreams. The little things that matter. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and let the stillness settle around you. Tonight, I'm going to tell you a story of rediscovery, of slowing down, and finding gratitude in life's smallest, most beautiful moment. This is a Lara story, but it might feel like your own too. A reminder that sometimes, when we step away from the noise, we find clarity and a part of ourselves we've been missing. Let's begin. Alara lived a life so many of us know too well, fast-paced, relentless, and noisy. The kind of life where the days blur together, where you're always chasing something, deadlines, dreams, or just the next item on your to-do list. Her morning started with the sharp buzz of an alarm and a rush out the door, coffee in one hand, phone in the other. Her evenings ended much the same. Her mind swirling with thoughts of everything she hadn't finished. She was successful, yes, but tired. Deep down, there was a longing for something she couldn't quite name. But Alara didn't have time to think about that. Life didn't leave space for wondering. It was all about doing. One Friday evening, as Alara stared at her laptop, trying to muster the energy for one more email, her phone rang. It was her Aunt Claire, a voice from her childhood that felt both comforting and distant. "Alara," Claire said warmly, "I need a little help this weekend. Just a few things around the house." Alara hesitated. A weekend in her aunt's rural town? It sounded inconvenient. But Claire's voice had that gentle, unspoken understanding. Alara couldn't say no. "All right, Aunt Claire," she said, though part of her already dreaded leaving the city. The drive to her aunt's house felt like stepping into another world. The tall buildings of the city gave way to open fields, the hum of traffic replaced by the rustle of leaves. When she arrived, Claire was waiting on the porch, her arms open wide. "There she is," Claire said, pulling Alara into a warm hug. The cottage smelled of lavender and fresh bread, and for a moment, Alara let herself relax. But as the day wore on, Alara felt restless. The silence was too loud, the pace too slow. She missed the constant ping of her phone, the energy of the city. What do people even do out here? She wondered. The next morning, Alara woke up earlier than usual, stirred by the faint sound of birdsong outside her window. Reluctantly, she got out of bed and stepped outside. Her feet met the cool, dewy grass, and she noticed the world was bathed in a soft, golden light. Everything seemed fresher, brighter, and slower. She crouched down and touched a blade of grass, droplets of dew glistening like tiny gems. It was such a small thing, but it felt oddly comforting. In that moment, Alara realized she hadn't taken time to simply notice her surroundings in years. Later that morning, Alara and Claire sat on the porch sipping tea. It was a simple ritual for her aunt, but to Alara it felt extraordinary. Claire spoke of her garden, the changing seasons, and the joy of watching life bloom. There was no rush to the conversation, no urgency to check a phone or a clock. They simply were. Alara found herself laughing at Claire's stories, feeling lighter than she had in weeks. She hadn't realized how much she missed the warmth of unhurried conversations. That afternoon, Alara went into town to pick up a few groceries for Aunt Claire. As she entered the small market, the shopkeeper greeted her with a smile, asking how she was enjoying her stay. A little boy held the door open for her, his mother gently reminding him to say, "You're welcome." At the bakery, the smell of fresh bread filled the air, and the baker slipped an extra roll into her bag with a wink. "For later," he said kindly. These were small gestures, but they lingered in Alara's heart. It had been so long since she'd felt this kind of warmth. Not forced or fleeting, but genuine and heartfelt. That evening, Alara and Claire baked a pie together, the kitchen filling with laughter and the rich, comforting scent of cinnamon and apples. "There's something about creating with your own hands," Claire said, kneading the dough. "It reminds you of what really matters." Alara felt her stress melt away as she worked. She realized how much she missed doing things like this, simple, creative acts that brought a sense of accomplishment and calm. Later, as the sun dipped low, Alara found herself sitting by the creek behind the cottage. The water flowed gently, its rhythm steady and soothing. She dipped her fingers into the cool stream and closed her eyes, letting the sound of the water wash over her. It reminded her of the world's constancy, that no matter how busy or chaotic life became, some things just flowed. For the first time in years, Alara felt a deep sense of calm, as if the creek was carrying away all her worries. That night, Alara stepped outside again, drawn by the brightness of the stars. Without the city's glow, the night sky felt vast and alive. She tilted her head back, marveling at the constellations she hadn't seen since childhood. The universe was so big, and yet the quiet beauty of the stars made her feel connected to something larger than herself. Even in the biggest things, Alara thought, it's the little details that make it magical. By the time Sunday evening came, Alara didn't want to leave. But as she hugged Claire goodbye, she felt ready. Not to return to her old life, but to carry this new sense of gratitude with her. Back in the city, Alara started her mornings with quiet moments by her window. She noticed the way sunlight danced across her coffee mug, the soft rustle of wind through the trees, and the kindness in a stranger's smile. Life hadn't changed, but Alara had, and somehow that made all the difference. In the days that followed, Alara began to notice how her newfound sense of gratitude changed the way she experienced her city. The honking horns no longer felt like an intrusion, but a sign of life bustling around her. The towering buildings, once overwhelming, now seemed to glimmer with potential as the sunlight bounced off their windows. One evening, as Alara sat by her window with a journal in hand, she began to write about the people and moments she was thankful for. She decided to take it one step further. The next day, she sent a handwritten note to her Aunt Claire, thanking her for the weekend and for showing her the beauty of stillness. She smiled at the barista who handed her coffee and made a point to call an old friend just to say she appreciated them. Alara realized that gratitude wasn't just a feeling, it was an action. One that had the power to ripple outward and touch the lives of others. Good night, and may your dreams be filled with peace, warmth, and the little things that make life beautiful.